All right, I got another good story for you here.
All right, let's go.
Richard Phillips
Guilty.
is no Walter White.
Okay.
Which, by the way, what did you think of that Super Bowl commercial of Walter White working at a pharmacy?
It was all right.
Eh.
Yeah, I thought all the Super Bowl commercials sucked a dick, to be really honest.
They had that whole creepy vibe to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right.
Where's my normal pharmacist? Who are you?
Yeah. It was just like, all right. I get it. It's funny.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right. Richard Phillips is no Walter White. Lists drug dealer as an occupation for his police report.
Nice.
Do you miss Breaking Bad?
Yes.
Walter White was well known for skirting the truth as an unlicensed pharmaceutical franchise owner. But this real-life drug dealer named Richard Phillips apparently has no problem with the truth.
Okay.
The Florida man even listed drug dealer as his occupation for the police report when cops arrested him.
Okay.
Nathan from Kentucky.
What did he do?
He's sending me a text. I bet Tim has a keytar. Yeah, there's AOR rocks with Howard Jones.
Yeah, nice hair.
Yeah, that's how I imagined him doing his thing. All right. Well, anyway, let's see here. Where were we? Yeah, he listed himself as drug dealer as his occupation for the police report when the cops arrested him.
Right.
In a related story by the Inquisitor, there really is a meth dealer named Walter White who was arrested by police in Montana, although his life story is not nearly as heart-rendering.
Really?
Robert Michael Phillips probably won't invoke much sympathy from the judge when he ends up in court. He's been convicted 7 times.
Oh, boy.
In the past on felony accounts, and he spent time in prison from 2011 to 2012.
Sounds like he needs a better attorney like Saul.
Yeah, well, how does a guy who has 7 felonies against him only spend a year in jail?
Beats me. I always wonder that, too, how these guys can get away with so much bullshit.
Yeah, 7 felonies?
Yeah.
7.
I thought 3 strikes and you were out.
Yeah, and he's in there from 2011 to 2012?
Right.
All right. This wannabe Walter White had his latest run-in with the law in Palm Beach County. Phillips' first mistake was cutting off an unmarked sheriff's vehicle being driven by a detective. The near accident caused the detective to check the license plate of the Hyundai Phillips was driving, only to discover it was stolen.
Okay.
The detective then followed the Florida man and watched him as he engaged in an alleged drug deal. Police deputies in marked patrol cars then went after Phillips, who fled at high speed. Eventually, the police car's chase ended at Michael's art and craft store, where the drug dealer pushed aside customers.
Okay.
So he ended up at a Michael's.
All right.
I'm trying to envision this. So he's being chased by the police. He pulls into like a strip mall.
Yeah.
Gets out, runs into a Michael's craft store, and starts pushing customers out of the way.
Well, that's new, because any Michaels around here, there's no customers.
This is where Phillips pulled a Jesse Pinkman, since he dropped a loaded handgun when knocking over a female customer. The wanted man ended the chase by running straight into the arms of deputies who were waiting outside the exit in the back of the store.
Okay.
So they had the building surrounded. He ran through the store, ran out the back door, and right into the cops.
Now, how hard is this writer trying to wedge in the fucking Breaking Bad?
He's trying to make it relevant.
He's trying his damnedest, and it's just not working.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Mr. Phillips, he did not leave certain objects in his stealthily hidden RV. Let's see. Unfortunately for Mr. Phillips, he did not leave certain objects in his stealthily hidden RV. Okay. On his person, police found 22 grams of heroin and $2,316 in cash.
Yeah.
The stolen vehicle was similarly loaded, producing 5.3 grams of crack cocaine, a drug scale, and a hypodermic needle. According to the Palm Beach Post, Phillip has a long list of charges, so he'd better call Saul.
Oh, my God. Stop it! What is wrong with this? What happened to journalism?
There's no journalism here.
The fuck? Where is this? What news source?
This is Inquisitor.
All right, so it's not like
it's not like ABC or CBS or anything like that. This is you know. Right. Phillips is now facing 3 counts of resisting arrest with violence, 2 counts of possession of drug equipment, and 1 count each of heroin trafficking, possession of a weapon or ammunition by a career criminal, possession of cocaine with intent to sell, committing a first-degree felony with a weapon, fleeing and eluding law enforcement at a high rate of speed, striking a police animal, battery, and driving with a suspended license.
Is that all he got?
That's all he got.
Jesus.
Robert Phillips capped off the day by voluntarily listing his occupation as drug dealer for the police arrest report.
This guy's a real fucking sharp one, isn't he?
The man is now in Palm Beach County Jail in lieu of $242,000 of bail.
Wow.
So if he wanted to get out, he needs a bail bondsman to put up $121,000.
You're gonna put up 50%?
50%.
Is that what it is now?
That's what it is.
I thought it was 10%.
I think it's 50 now.
Wow. And some people are sitting in jail then.
Yeah.
I know that the one time I had to use a bail bondsman, it was 10%.
How long ago was that?
Long time ago.
A long time ago.
This is in the 80s, but
so there you go.
Yeah, I had an assault arrest, and the I think it was like $30,000.
$30,000.
Yeah, because I knocked a cop's teeth out.
Nice.
So I think it was $30,000, and my parents had to put up $3,000.
So did you have to stand in front of the judge?
I did.
And then did he crack down the gavel and said, "Bail will be set at crack $30,000."
Yeah. And I was like, I was like, what am I gonna do?
So you had to come up with $3,000, huh?
Yep, which I didn't have
to get your ass out of jail.
Yep, I was all beat. I told the story about how I was all beaten up by the cops. I ended up getting the charges dropped.
So you were in your teens or early 20s?
I was in my teens. I was 18, 19.
So this was before or after you joined the service?
After.
After? Oh,
yeah, I was home on vacation before I went to Korea.
So you didn't get in trouble with the military for getting arrested on leave?
I got the charges dropped.
Really?
Yeah. The charges were, I got put on like a probation where I had to pay for the cop's teeth. I had to pay his dental work.
Okay.
I had to stay out of the city of Kent for 2 years. So I was like on probation. If I would have got stopped in Kent, then I would have gotten a sentence.
Didn't you get busted for having sex in Kent?
No, Hudson.
Oh, that was Hudson. That was the place where you were parked, and you didn't realize the cops rolled up on your ass.
Yeah, that was Hudson.
Oh, nice.
that was a park over there in Hudson.
Wow.
I've lived quite the life.
These small towns are not the places to get busted.
No, because you just have a bad label.
Well, not only that, but they got nothing better to do.
No, they sure don't. No, just in this one little section, I got arrested twice in Streetsboro, once in Kent, once in Hudson, and later in life, twice in Twinsburg. So, not arrested, but taken in. Now, wait a minute. You can be arrested but not charged, right?
That is correct.
So then I have been arrested.
Arrested means detained.
Detained. I've been arrested, but most of the times I was not charged.
Right.
So, I'm such a good boy. Better now. It's been a long time.
I ought to be calling you Walter Aiken.
I've never, other than when I was selling pot as a kid.
You never got the drug charges.
No, I never. I was selling minimal amounts of pot. Most of the time I was selling just enough pot to get my dick sucked.
Right.
I wasn't even selling it. I was just trading it for blowjobs. Or minimal money, $50, $100 here and there. Wasn't like I had, 10 pounds of it in my room or anything.
That's quite a deal. Pot for blow.
Dude, blowjobs for pot was the best.
No, it's pot for blow.
Yeah.
Makes you sound like you really know what you're doing.
Exactly.
I traded pot for blow, man.
Dude, there was these woods out by my house, and I had a fort out there. This is the big pot dealer I was. That was where I used to take the girls to fucking trade them the pot for the blowjobs. Was out to my fort in the woods.
Well, let me ask you something before you get into the story.
Go ahead. There's no story to tell. That's it, really.
Oh, that's it? Well,
Yeah.
being that you were so young, and I granted at the age that you were,
Yeah.
any girl just even putting her lips on your dick was pretty thrilling, I would imagine.
It was fucking the best.
Well, of course. Yeah. But knowing what you know now as a mature adult,
Yeah.
if you could look back and look at it subjectively, were these girls any good at doing that, or did they know what they were doing, or was it just the thrill that some girl was putting her mouth on your dick?
I don't think it was. I mean, certainly the girls have gotten better with age.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't ever remember. I only remember one time ever where I got blown and it was just really bad. Oh, honestly, I can only think of one time. There's only been one time ever that I actually told somebody to stop.
Well, as a teenage girl,
Yeah.
I mean, do they really know what they're doing?
No, but they knew enough. They knew enough.
Sure.
They knew enough to fucking make the jizz come out. That's all I needed. It was easier than fucking whacking my dick myself.
Sure.
So, yeah, and it was totally the thrill of the kill, with that.
Yeah, well, I understand that part, but I'm just talking about technique and skill. Yeah, but again, you're not thinking that back then.
Fuck no.
But if as an adult, an experienced adult, if you could look back with, like I said, objective point of view,
it probably was all bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that good.
It was probably all terrible, but I mean, at the time, it seemed great.
Sure.
I'm telling you, I don't remember one time where I was like, I'm not going back to that one again.
Sure.
I had like a little stable of about 7 girls that I sold pot to, that I traded pot for blowjobs to. And believe me, it wasn't a one-time thing with any of them. It was lots of times. There was always going back to that well, getting the ink out, so to speak.
Well, to be honest with you, again, I've never smoked pot or done drugs of any kind.
Yeah.
Not even once.
Okay.
But I got to wonder, not knowing people's habits, I never really looked at pot as being a chick thing. I mean, I know that they smoke pot, but from my personal experience, I can't recall too many girls that I'd known that were really into pot.
Really?
Yeah. But I didn't hang out with those kind of people either. But it seemed like pot was more of a dude thing.
No way.
Really?
No way. It was just quite the opposite. Alcohol was the dude thing.
Is that right?
Yeah, because the girls couldn't drink as much.
Okay, I'm just asking the question because again, I've never really indulged with people who were into drugs.
Sure.
Now, I did have a girlfriend that the reason we even got involved was because she was trying to kick her coke habit.
Okay.
But as far as, girls that were big potheads, I can't say that I've only known but maybe one, maybe two at the most who really spoke about indulging in pot.
Really?
Yeah.
See, when the way I remember it, and it's been a while, obviously, but the girls could not drink even with the guys. So they would end up, almost universally, if you were at a house party or something, the girls would be left in the corner because they would either try and drink with the guys and be puking, or they'd pass the fuck out, and then, God knows what'll happen to them.
Sure.
So most of them didn't want to drink a whole ton. But the pot, the girls could smoke a full joint with guys, and they were in the same place. It really didn't affect them more than the guys. Not really. So girls, at least when I was growing up, the girls smoked pot a lot more than they drank.
Huh. Okay. I just got to take your word for it because I got to be honest. I just haven't been around. When I was living in California in the 80s, people didn't really talk much about pot so much as the Coke.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Coke was the huge thing.
Yeah.
I was out there from 85 to 91, so that was the Coke generation.
Right.
So people weren't talking about smoking pot so much as doing blow.
Yeah, see. Doing blow just made my heart race. I was like, I did it a few times, like more than a few, but, probably 10, 12 times maybe. I never was really into that. Just didn't. I liked rubbing it on my gums and then trying to talk.
Okay.
Stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
But Coke just never really did it for me, and certainly shooting really didn't do it for me. I fucking shot heroin a couple times, and both times it made me sick to my stomach and like throwing up sick.
Sure.
Which is probably good because God knows with my addictive personality, it should have got me hooked forever. But didn't. Both times made me sick, and I was like, fuck this. I'm not going to do this anymore.
Right.
So. But yeah, pot was the shit, man. Pot was the definite thing that you could get the girls with.
Huh. Well, when I was in high school, the guys that I knew of that actually, my high school days were very similar to the Breakfast Club movie.
Really?
Very similar.
No kidding.
Actually, the school that they used for the movie Breakfast Club, actually was laid out almost identical to my school.
Oh, nice.
And the people that were represented as the various cliques in the school, John Hughes did a fantastic job at that movie because it epitomized everything that my high school years were like.
Sure. Okay.
It was so real for me. That's like one of my favorite movies because it's just like, wow, that is almost identical to my personal experience.
Wow.
And the John Benders, who was the pot guy, that's what I relate pot smokers to.
Right.
It wasn't like a chick thing.
Sure.
The girls that I knew anyway did not talk about, oh man, let's go get wasted or let's get high or anything. Right. It was a guy thing. Let's go out back school and let's fire up a joint.
Well, but see, we used to have at Streetsboro, and the Streetsboro High School, where the gate was, right? Over on the
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
there was a gate that they at one time they used to close it at night, and then they just stopped closing it. But that was always where people would go and smoke, was at the gate. And allegedly we'd be smoking cigarettes over there.
Allegedly.
Oh, because that was like, that gate was officially off school grounds.
Sure.
So we would take like 2 steps past the gate and we were smoking quote unquote cigarettes. But we would always sneak a joint out there and just smoke a joint.
Of course you would. Look at Demon smartass Neeley smoking the same joint as a black chick will give you AIDS. What a wise ass. We didn't have any black chicks in our school.
Right. I don't know. For me personally, though, and maybe it's why I didn't really. I mean, I like The Breakfast Club as a movie, but I didn't relate to it almost at all because I was kind of the cross-click guy. I mean, I was an athlete. I played baseball and was all-state for a couple of years.
Sure.
So I was clearly I had the athlete side in me, but I also was a total fucking burnout. I was always smoking and drinking and doing all that stuff. And I hung out with anybody. I didn't give a shit. Whoever it was cool with me.
Right.
So I never had, I wasn't a jock and I wasn't a burnout and I wasn't a prep and, I wasn't none of that shit. I was all of it.
You were all at once. You were karma chameleon, man.
Was. I really was. I still remember some of those days I'd go into fucking school. My mom would send me to school with fucking corduroy pants or whatever and then just get fucked with. I wear these fucking purple corduroy pants or some ridiculous fucking clothes. I'd be like, Jesus, Mom, what are you doing?
Yeah, now that you bring that up, now I got a funny story.
Yeah.
The girls back, when I went to junior high school or high school,
right,
that were a little quote unquote heavy in the thighs.
All right.
They would wear their corduroy pants.
Sure.
Because at some point, corduroy pants were actually in.
Yeah, it was like a style in the late 70s.
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
We used to call them whistle thighs because their thighs would touch when they would go down the hall, and they would go.
Right.
Whistle thighs.
Whistle thighs.
There was a girl. This all brings back funny memories.
Sure.
And there was a girl, her name was Wendy Wilderman.
Okay.
But we referred to her as Wendy Wilderbeest.
She loved that name too, right?
Wendy Wilderbeest.
She loved that name.
Of course.
So how old was she when she committed suicide?
Man, I'm telling you, high school was brutal for some people.
Fuck yeah, it was. Dude, did you have anybody that died in your school?
Not during school, but after.
Oh, like they've died now?
Well, like a couple years after.
You had nobody that died while you were going to school?
Not during the time I went to school, no.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we had a couple.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of, anyway.
We had one, and man, I look at it as one of the luckiest things ever for me. There was this kid named Jim. He lived up the street, and me and this other kid, Sean, and Jim, we used to all hang out. We all lived on the same street, or like one street over. And you know where Twin Lakes is, over by in Kent.
Yeah.
It's basically two big lakes, and we were all supposed to go fishing, and I had never gone fishing before, and and still have never gone fishing actually, but we were supposed to go. I ended up not going because one, I didn't want to really go fishing, and two, I just really I don't know if I wasn't feeling good or whatever. Fucking, they flipped the goddamn boat over and Jim drowned.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, holy shit. Those are between my freshman and sophomore year in high school. I was like, and he drowned. He fucking got under the boat.
Yeah.
Fell off the boat, got under the boat, came up and hit his head on the bottom of the boat and fucking knocked himself out and drowned.
Wow. No, not that I can recall anybody dying during my high school years. Yeah. I don't recall that happening, but I do recall a couple of people who died, not long after.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a few. I don't know how many it is now, but we've had, in fact, I think out of my class, and my class was small. I think we only had like 120 people or something that graduated in my class. And I think we've had about 10 of them die.
Huh.
And amazingly, I'm not one of them.
Well, I know one guy basically got hit by a car. He was walking on the side of a 2-lane road.
Right.
And he got hit by a car like a year after high school. And then another guy who rode a moped all the time. Remember mopeds were cool?
Yeah, I had a moped. I had a moped.
Well, he got hit by a car on a moped.
Right.
And died.
Wow.
And then I saw a guy, this was like, I'm going to say this was in the mid to late 90s maybe.
Okay.
I was at the Odeon when it was still around.
Yeah.
And I ran into a guy that I went to high school with, and he didn't look very well at all. He was just like very thin and pale and whatever.
So how is Chris Holmes?
Well, that's funny you should say that because it was actually at a WASP show.
Nice.
That was when during the Kill Fuck Die tour.
Okay.
And I actually saw this guy that I went to high school with. I wasn't friends with him, but I knew who he was, and I saw him there, and I was talking to him. Then I heard like a month later he died, and he apparently died of AIDS.
Wow.
He was, he contracted AIDS through like, I think, intravenous drugs or something.
You didn't give him a bro hug or anything?
No. I didn't know the guy. I mean, I knew him from school, but I didn't know him. You know what I mean? I knew who he was, and I said, hey, what's going on? He didn't recognize me, and I had to tell him who I was, and, and then I heard, like, from somebody else that he, like, died, like, a month or so later from, like, AIDS. He had, like, HIV or something.
You're like, thank God I didn't stick my finger in those open wounds.
Oof.
Oof.
Man, so it's just tough.
Yeah, that AIDS thing. Oh, that's a motherfucker.
Yeah, well, that's silly of me to think that way.
Yeah, well, that guy was black?
No.
No?
Actually his name...
A white guy that got AIDS?
Yeah, it's funny you should say that because that was actually his last name. His name was Scotty White.
But he was married to a black chick.
No, I don't think he was married. He was just,
He fucked a lot of black chicks.
I have no idea. I didn't know the guy. I didn't know.
Though, because he got AIDS.
Sure. I said he got it from intravenous drugs.
Yeah, well, who gave it to him? Black chick.
I have no idea.
Had to be a black chick, according to your philosophy.
Well, I'm just telling you.